Hi, welcome to Coding Droplets. In this video, we are going to see how to containerize a .NET application. Containerize have many features and benefits, such as being an immutable infrastructure, providing a portable architecture, and enabling scalability. The image can be used to create containers for your local development environment, private cloud, or public cloud. The topics covered in this video are adding a Docker file to a new or existing .NET project, publishing the Docker image for our .NET application to public repository of Docker Hub and running that Docker image in a different machine, publishing the Docker image to a private repository and running it in a different machine, sharing the Docker image locally without using any repositories. We'll just save the Docker image from the development machine and load it in a different machine to run it. Before starting, you should know few things. This video is part of a series named Microservice Architecture. You can find the playlist link in the video description to watch the other videos in this series. So let's get started. This is a demo project which I have created for a previous Blazor tutorial video for explaining the implementation of authentication in Blazor server project. I will show you how we can add the Docker support for a project by adding it in this project. The method is same for any type of .NET Core projects. Those who need to learn Blazor development can find the playlist named Blazor tutorial in our channel. First, let's add Docker support for this project. Just right-click on the project which you need to add the Docker support, then go to Add and click on Docker support. Visual Studio will ask you for the Docker file options. We can choose Linux or Windows as the target operating system. I prefer using Linux as the Docker image size is much less compared to Windows, but you can choose it as per your need. Then click OK. Now you can see a new Docker file got created in the project folder. This Docker image is exposing port number 80, so once we containerize this project, our application will be listening on port 80 in the container. Also, now I can run the project in Docker and debug it. It will also download the needed images for the application and create a new Docker container to debug the application. Visual Studio provides the options to easily develop applications with Docker support, debug with Docker support, and deploy the Docker container. Now you can see it is pulling .NET/ASP.NET image. Currently, I don't have any Docker images in my machine. Now there are two new images. This Blazor server auth image is the Docker image of my project. You can see the tag as dev. Visual Studio creates this image to create a container which will run our application while we debug it from Visual Studio. Once the project is closed, then this container will get removed automatically. So I'll just show you by debugging it from the Docker container. This is the demo application. Just before that, I will show you a few things. Let me minimize the browser. Here Visual Studio shows the container information in container window. The first tab is showing environment variables. Second tab is labels. Third is ports, then volumes, files, logs, and details. We can see all the Docker container details from here. Now let's see the application. It is just having a login functionality. We can log in with hard-coded user credentials, both username and password or admin. Then it will show some extra options in the menu and the home page. So we are going to publish this project to a public repository of Docker Hub. For that, just right-click on the project and click on the Publish option. Now we need to choose the target. Here we need to choose Docker Container Registry. Next, we need to select the specific target. We can choose Docker Hub. To publish in Docker Hub, you should have an account in Docker Hub. You can simply visit Docker Hub website and create an account by providing your email. If you're connecting to your own repository, that means not part of an organization, leave the checkbox for Publish to a personal repository checked. If the repository is owned by an organization, clear the checkbox and enter the organization name. Then enter your Docker username and password for your Docker account that has permission to access the repository that you're connecting to, and then click Finish. Now the published profile is created. You can see the profile file inside the published profiles folder of the properties folder. I'll just open the file for you to see the contents. We can change the published settings from here. You can change the configuration, target framework, deployment mode, and target runtime if needed. So let me click cancel button as I don't need to change anything. We can also change the Docker image tag by clicking on the edit image tag option. By default, the tag will be latest. Let me change it to 1.00. Now let's click on the publish button to start building and publishing the image. Initially, Visual Studio will build our project. After that, it will pull the needed images and create a new Docker image for our project. Once it is completed, Visual Studio will execute the Docker commands to log into our repository and push the Docker image. Finally, you can see Publish Succeeded message in Visual Studio. Let's open Docker Hub and check out the Docker image. Now I'm logged into Docker Hub and there is an image showing in my repositories tab. Coding Droplets /Blazor server auth is the repository name, and you can see that the repository type is public. So this image can be accessed by anyone. You can also try pulling this image in your machine. We can see more details by clicking on the repository. The available tags are displayed here. We have only uploaded 1.00. We can provide a different tag for the same project and upload it. Then it will be also displayed here. Also, we can create a README content if needed. There is a separate tab named Tags which will list all the tags and image details. Then Builds, Collaborators. We can add collaborators if needed. Then Webhooks, Settings. In Settings, we can see the option to make the repository private. Also, we have the option to delete the repository. Now let's try to pull the Docker image in a different machine. This machine is having Ubuntu Linux. I have only installed Docker in this. It is not having any other dependencies or libraries installed. I have not even installed .NET Runtime or any other frameworks. Now you can see there are no Docker containers running in this machine. Also, there are no Docker images. So let me provide docker run command to download the Docker image and run it. Docker run command will automatically download the image if it doesn't exist in the host machine. Next, using -p parameter, we can assign a custom port 8001 for the port 80 of the container. Then -d for detaching the container. After that, the Docker image name of our project. We also need to provide the tag as we don't have an image with latest tag. It will just show unable to find the image locally. It will start downloading soon. It is getting downloaded now. Let it get completed. Now it is completed. Let's list out the Docker images and you can see the image is downloaded. Let me also list out the running containers using docker ps command. We can see the container is running and the port mapping also done. Now let me open the browser and provide localhost :8001 and you can see the application is working fine. All the functionalities of the application are working fine. Here, all the dependencies, libraries needed for our application are inside the container. We don't need to install anything. It is very easy to deploy an application using Docker. Next, we are going to push a different project to a private repository of Docker Hub. So private repositories can only be accessed by you and the collaborators who have the permission. This is a Blazor Webassembly project with .NET Core hosted. This is also same kind of project which I have created to demonstrate authentication in Blazor Webassembly. So in a Blazor Webassembly with .NET Core hosted project, the server project is the main project which we need to host. Let's add Docker support for this project as I explained before. The Docker file got created. it will do the same processes as before, like pulling the needed images and building the debug container, etc. I'm just skipping these steps as we have already discussed it before. Now let's publish the project to Docker Hub. Choosing the Docker container registry as the target and Docker Hub as the specific target. Then providing credentials for Docker Hub authentication. This time I'm not changing the tag, let it be latest tag only. Let's publish it now. Finally, we got publish succeeded message. Let's open Docker Hub to see the repository. Now you can see the repository named coding droplets /Blazor Webassembly auth server. But you might have noticed that the repository type is public. We'll change it now from the settings tab of the repository details. I'm clicking on make private button. It is asking me to enter the project name for the confirmation. Let me copy paste it. Now the repository has become private. In the repositories page, you can see the type. So now we have one public and one private repositories. Now the main difference is in pulling the private repository image. I'll show you how it is. So let's try to pull it to this Ubuntu Linux machine. In the same way as before, I'm providing docker run command, then assigning port 8002 as we have already assigned 8001 for our previous application. After that, -d to detach the container, then the repository name. We don't need to provide the tag here as latest tag is the default one. Now let me hit enter and this is not going to work. Let's see what the error message we are getting. You can see that pull access denied. Repository does not exist or may require Docker login. You must log into Docker Hub before pulling a private repository image. To login, I can provide docker login command, then -u to specify the username. Now it will prompt for the password. I can enter the password here to login. If the user credentials are valid, you can see a login succeeded message here. Now I can use the same previous command to pull the Docker image from my private repository and run it. Let's open a new tab in the browser and try to open the URL. The application is working fine. So this is how the private repositories work. Next, we are going to see how we can share Docker images locally without using any repositories. You can just copy the file from one machine to another and create the container. So let's see how it is. As we done before, just add Docker support to your project. After that, just open terminal by right-clicking on the project. You can even open command prompt or PowerShell from the start menu and navigate to the solution folder. I'm just listing out the images by using docker image command. So it is having the images created by Visual Studio. If I execute docker ps command, you can see a container is running. This is just created by Visual Studio for us to debug the application. This container will get removed if we close the project. So let me close the project. Now you can see that there is no projects opened. The Solution Explorer is blank. Again, I am running docker images command and the list is same. But when I list the containers by using docker ps command, you can see the container got removed. Now let's create a new docker image from the docker file. Let me list the files in the folder using dir command. And you can see we have the docker file in the same folder. Now we can provide docker build command to create a new docker image. I am providing -t parameter to set a custom name and tag for the image. That's it needed. You can see now the image is getting created. It got completed now. Let me list out the Docker images. There is a new image available in the list and that is the one which got created now. Now let me move to another folder in which I need to save the Docker image. I can provide docker save command along with the image name to save the Docker image as a tar file. Also providing -o parameter to mention the output file name. I am saving it as blazorapp.tar. Let me list out the files to see the created tar file. I'll show you the file in File Explorer as well. Here you can see the file. Now let me copy this file to the other machine and will show you how to use it. I have copied the tar file to folder named Docker image backups in the documents folder. Let me list out the files and you can see the file here. Now we can use docker load command to load the Docker image from the tar file. Then provide a less than symbol and name of the file. It is showing the loaded image message. Now let's check it by listing out the Docker images. Here we have the Docker image loaded from the file. Next, we can just provide docker run command to create the container and run it. I'm providing port 8003 using -p parameter, then -d parameter to detach the container, then finally the image ID. Just first few characters of the image ID are sufficient. The container got created. Let's list out the running containers. Here we have the container which is mapped with 8003 port number. Let's try to open the URL in a browser. You can see the application is working fine. This is how we can use docker save and docker load commands to share it as a tar file. Let me also show you two more docker commands. First, let me stop all the running containers using docker stop command. Now I am providing docker systemdf command. It will show us the total numbers, size consumed by images, containers, volumes, and build cache, all the details. Next, I'll show you one more command that you may find helpful in development machines. Please be careful, don't do this in production machines. It is just for clearing everything using a single command. Docker system prune -a will wash out everything from the Docker. It will ask for a confirmation before continuing. So let me confirm, and everything got deleted. Now let me provide docker systemdf command again, and you can see all usages are showing as 0. So that's it for this video. Hope you liked it. Please subscribe, like, and share this video. See you all in the next video. Thank you.